Listen, I will not be name dropping, but there are for sure a lot of people in the self-improvement and self-love space who talk about loving yourself but actually just promote covert narcissism in secret. And today, you're gonna play with a game with me. So we're going to go through some of the most common things that are said in the self-love space and then debunk, is it actual self-love or is it narcissism? Some of those are actually true and they're amazing, and some are just straight up narcissism without any further consideration. So I'd say let's get right into it. Asked you guys on Instagram and on YouTube to tell me some of those things you've heard in this space, and there were some crazy things where I was just like, how the hell would anyone think that this is actual self-love advice? So let's start with the first one. The first thing is, you should always put yourself first. You have 3 seconds to guess now whether it is narcissism or self-love. It is narcissism. Surely, sometimes it might be okay to put yourself first and be like, you guys, listen, I can't come today. I'm not doing well. I have to just take some time for myself. That is perfectly fine. But if you really take it that seriously and you think that always putting yourself first, I'm like the most important person on the internet and in the world, then you know what? You're gonna end up lonely, and it is simply just narcissism. Next thing is, love yourself with all of your flaws and insecurities. And you are right, it is actually self-love. True self-love isn't about thinking that you are perfect, as I've just mentioned, but it's actually about appreciating and loving every part of yourself. Even if there's some part of yourself that you don't like, you see it as vulgar or as weird, it's important to accept all of it, to love all of it. I essentially once had a very lovely session with a therapist, and what she essentially got me to understand is that all those shadow aspects of mine and all these things that I did not like about myself, I also have to accept, because there always might be parts that might be a little more negative or that might not be the best about you, and that is perfectly fine. That is normal. We came to Earth is some kind of playground for your soul, and it would be a shame to try to be perfect all the time. Just simply accept all of your flaws and insecurities, because that's what you're made of essentially. It is perfectly natural, so do not worry. Once I really had that mindset shift of understanding, okay, the shadow part of myself will always be there, it is something natural, I was just feeling such deep awe and such deep self-love to an extent where I just felt like I could accept anything, and I was just so happy with myself. It literally was so crazy. So the moment that you understand that, you are going to be unstoppable. Next thing is, do not ever settle for anything that is not 100% perfectly aligned with your values, goals, and opportunities you want to have in your future life. That is narcissism. I mean, I get it. If somebody tells you on YouTube that you have to accept only that prince and princess treatment and that everyone should just treat you perfectly and you should only settle for things that you deserve because you deserve so much more. Because at the end of the day, what is a narcissist? Those are oftentimes people who believe that the things that someone does to them, they don't deserve them. They might tell you, you know what? I don't deserve how you treat me. I don't deserve this. And even if sometimes that might be valid, like it's okay to feel like you don't deserve something, but what I really mean is, like, if you really get into some situation and you think that you only have to deserve the best of the best all the time, it might be a slight sense of narcissism. I'm sorry if I'm gonna break your picture perfect dream right here, but it is not possible to find a person who 100% fits your values and who 100% actually fits to you. Because at the end of the day, what are humans? Humans are completely different to one another. I am different from my one best friend, then she also is different from our other friends. I also am different from many other friends that I've had in my life. We have some shared values, and that is so important. You need to have shared values, but you will never find a partner or a friendship that just completely 100% aligns with you and is like the perfect thing. They got all the money in the world, they got everything for you, and you have to do nothing but to simply exist. You also have to put some energy into the relationship, and they also have to put some energy into the relationship as well. The next common self-love belief that you guys have shared with me is that you should treat yourself the way that you treat other people. What's up, y'all? I hope I'm not interrupting. When I was making the video, I actually thought of treating other people as in treating them with a gift or treating them with a sweet treat or whatever, you know, treating as in giving something to someone, not as in the treatment towards another person. So when I talk about treating, I just want to let you know what I actually meant here. You have 3 seconds to guess again. Is this a sense of narcissism or is this actual deep self-love? I would actually say it is self-love. You see, when it comes to treating yourself, you develop a sense of a love language. You know, I even made a video on the 5 love languages when it comes to self-love. And one of the 5 love languages is gifts. And gifts and physical acts are something that you can not only give to other people, but also yourself. And in order to be able to give them to other people properly, you need to first of all know how to do it with yourself. Everything oftentimes starts with yourself. Of course, it doesn't mean that you should only buy things for yourself and only do the things and treat yourself in that way. But you should also treat other people. So for example, if you love getting people the newest, loveliest gifts, then probably it's because you also love receiving gifts. So get yourself a nice gift. It can even just be an iced latte that you like to buy yourself because that is a treat and that is something that you love and that is your own expression of self-love. So make sure to find those things that really resonate with you. And I'm saying that treating yourself the way that you would treat loved ones is especially powerful because you can then acquire a taste and you can acquire a love for the act of giving something to people and treating them. There's nothing nicer in the world than giving someone a gift and you see how happy they become and how much they appreciate you, and it's the same thing with yourself. The next one is probably very tricky for me and you. It's that you should not let other people's opinions influence you in any way, and you should only focus on your own way of living and your own opinion. You got 3 seconds again. That also can be narcissism. You see, this is the kind of advice that you've probably heard 1,000 times. I mean, all over TikTok, all over YouTube, there's thousands of videos about it, thousands of books even about like not caring what other people think and why it is not important what they think at all. But let me be for real right now, it is so unlikely and that advice is super shallow. Like if you think about it, you go tell a person who's super insecure, oh, just don't care what other people say. I think it's gonna do anything. First of all, you need to know that the reason that you even care for what other people might think of you is because it is a survival fear. We humans have a reptilian part within our brain which is essentially all about survival. And one of our survival mechanisms that used to be very important back then is caring what other people think. Because humans, we come in herds, we come in groups, basically we are communal beings. And when our community does not accept us, we might get rejected and that might literally lead to death. That's what our brain thinks, because when you get rejected, you might not get food and your entire community is just going to disregard you. So this is essentially why it tries to want to know what people think of it. So when people think bad of you, your brain is going to think that it's in danger. And when people think good of you, it's going to think that you're safe and everything's good. But in reality, of course, that is not the case. And without understanding all of that and just telling people that they should simply not care, you might lead them to a sense of narcissism. Like if you understand this just simply consciously, you might think that, oh, whatever people say now is completely not important. No person will ever want to be with someone who can't actually accept their advice. So it is essentially very important to not just not care what people think, but to know who you take advice from and whose opinion truly matters. So for example, your friend's opinion totally matters. Your parents' opinions might totally also matter. Now the opinion of a random stranger on the internet who comments something stupid under your video does not quite matter. Or some hater in school or at work or whatever people say about you does also not matter. But in order to not fall into narcissism when it comes to understanding that people's opinions do not matter that much, you have to understand that it's not about not caring what people think, but it's actually about caring about what the right people think. Once you understand that, you're literally gonna be unstoppable. The next piece of advice that is oftentimes said in the self-love space is, you don't owe anyone anything. You now have 3 seconds to guess again. That is total narcissism. But this is something that is said super often. Oftentimes they say that you don't owe anyone anything and the only person you should care about and actually owe anything to is yourself. And this is one of the most harmful things I've heard out there on the internet. I mean, look at your parents' generation and your grandparents and your great-grandparents' generation, if you know them. They probably did not have that kind of mindset and they always cared for one another. My grandmother always told me about how they back then just used to help everyone out and how everyone was helping one another. And nowadays that seems to not really be the case anymore. This kind of way of thinking is probably one of the reasons why it is so harmful to believe that you don't have to help anyone. But actually, when your friends ask you to do something for you, or they ask you to meet you, or they want to see you again, then you do owe them that. You do totally owe people something. You owe them an explanation when you no longer want to talk to them. You can't just ghost them. You also owe to meet them. You owe to talk to people. And most importantly, you owe to help people in this world. Help your great parents. Help the woman that you see on the street. Help people at university or in school or at work, and just do something nice in this world. Even Marcus Aurelius said that you have to contribute to society in some way by either helping or by inspiring people, that it totally just changes the world in some way. And I'm paraphrasing here. Imagine what kind of place the world would be if everyone believed that they don't owe anyone anything. Like, this mindset is so harmful, and I really want you to just get that shit out of your head. Also, that is a very harmful way to simply avoid accountability. If you screwed up, and let's be real, we all have done that, we then might find ourselves in a position where we think that, oh my goodness, now I don't owe anyone anything, I don't really care, I don't have to tell them anything. But you in fact should apologize if you screwed up. You should tell people what you did, and you should hold yourself accountable and also hold other people accountable for that. I once had a friend who was never able to actually be held accountable for her things. When I told her about the things that were bothering me and how I think that this friendship should be something that we should actively be working on, she just simply didn't understand any of that. She thought that I don't owe you anything, I don't owe you an explanation, I don't owe any work to us. And that is totally false. And you know what happened? She now is left without any friends, and she changes her friends literally every second week. I don't know what's going on in her life right now, but as far as I'm aware, that is exactly what it's all led to. Through all of these ways of thinking, examples, and stories I've just told you, you now understand how toxic some of this self-love advice can be. And what I want you to do and understand also is that it's not always about the person telling you that advice, because oftentimes some of this advice can be totally valuable and great for some people. However, when a person does not do any inner work and they don't really work on themselves, they don't do shadow work, they don't understand themselves fully, and they're just traumatized and then listen to self-love advice because it seems like it can save them, they see that kind of guru talking on here about this, then that is what it will lead to. It will make them feel shitty, and it will make them actually just develop a sense of narcissism, believing that they are the most important person in the world and no other opinion, no other person truly matters as much as they do. So next time you watch videos about self-love, I want you to question everything they say. I'm not saying that what they say is bad. It can be very valuable and it's literally amazing, and they contribute to the world in a lovely way. A lot of people need this. I needed it myself. But try to evolve out of that and try to see outside of the box. Try to look at the actual things that this person really wants to say, and do not always interpret your own bullshit in there. And if you really are deeply interested in developing a healthy sense of self-love, I suggest you get off of social media and you actually reconnect with the old ways of reading about self-love. So just simply grab a book. I'm telling you guys right now, books are such a powerful tool. You already know about it. It's literally a gateway into someone else's mind and the value that they simply offer you. And it's not even that pricey, so anyone can get a book. There is no excuse that you can make yourself as to why you can't read. And as much as I love books, there's something that is even more valuable as that is just simply focusing on yourself and going within. So when you go within and you meet those parts of yourself that you did not accept earlier, and you meet your darkest shadows, so to say, and even as a child when your parents didn't love every part of you or you did not feel that way, I want you to just simply do it for yourself. Love yourself the way that you would love someone else to love you. That's something that people say oftentimes, and I believe this to some extent is totally true. Look within yourself, accept every part of yourself, and no amount of books or social media content about self-love can be as valuable as looking within your own soul and your own feelings is. And then do not forget your relationships. Self-love is something important, but it only can actually live in its full expressions if it also can love someone else externally. Thank you so much for watching. I love you all so much. Goodbye. Now, if you found this video valuable, make sure to leave a comment. Tell me what other things you might believe are totally toxic over here, or some other self-love things that actually are amazing and are actually about self-love. And also subscribe to my channel, and make sure to check out the video about the 5 languages of self-love. They can truly just transform your entire self-love.